our downtown SLO response and recovery call. As everybody gets welcomed in here today, it's nice to see your smiling faces. Happy Monday to everybody. My name is Bettina Swigger, and I am the CEO at Downtown SLO. And joining and running this meeting with me today is Garret Olson, our consultant. Hi, Garret. We also have two co-hosts and moderators on the call, Rachel Maiorino, our Chief Operating Officer at Downtown SLO, and Whitney Cheney, our Farmers Market Manager. And it looks like we've got about 34 people on the call. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get started, I'm going to ask Garret to do a little bit of housekeeping. Garret, you want to take it away?
Absolutely. Thanks, Bettina. Right now, I am going to mute everybody, and that will prevent you from having whatever background noise in your workspace bleeding over. And so quickly, for those of you that are somewhat new to Zoom, I just want to review with you some of the features that are here that we'll hope that you'll take advantage of. One, we would love to know who you are. And so over on the participants list, you'll see yourself. And if you hover over your name, you can rename yourself. And if you give yourself your full name, that would be super helpful. That will allow us to call on you. So just click on rename and enter the name that you'd like to see, and that'll help. Everybody will be muted during the bulk of this call. And that's only so that information flows well without any background noise or distractions. But there is a feature here that you'll see, again, if you open up the participants list, you'll see that at the bottom of the participants list, there's an opportunity for you to raise your hand electronically. So if you just click on that, when we get to the point where we're asking for your feedback, that will be super helpful. And if you've entered your name the way you want to be recognized, when you raise your hand, we'll be able to call on you individually. There will be some polling questions that are similar to last week's polling questions that we'll be asking again, and that is a pretty straightforward process as well. So anything else, Rachel or Bettina, from Zoom logistics that you want to tease out before we get started? Okay.
Good to go, Garret.
Okay. I want to start just by, again, acknowledging the very real pain and uncertainty that we've all been going through. These past 10 days have been heartbreaking and confusing and difficult, but we've also seen some really extraordinary creativity and an outpouring of community affection and support. Before we started our response and recovery plan, we were working on a strategic planning effort for our organization, and understandably, now we've pivoted, but we did a survey to the community as part of that strategic planning process, and we got more than 500 responses to that survey, and people really care about our downtown. So I think that bodes well for us as we move through this experience together, and we look at what is going to be coming up.
Michael Dameyer.
Join the meeting.
So I wanted to just take a minute by talking about where we are today. I saw a great meme. I know we're all kind of looking at these memes and using our humor to get through this. And it said that during the coronavirus, there are only 3 days. There's no Monday, there's no Thursday, there's no Sunday or Tuesday. There's only yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So what we're going to talk about today is where we are today. We're going to talk about where we are. We're going to talk about what we're doing and a little bit about where we might go.
Join the meeting.
But as if the past 10 days have taught us anything, it's that everything is changing in real time all around us. So here's where we are today. We're looking at our downtown response and recovery in 4 ways. The first is following the public health directives to ensure that this pandemic does not decimate our community. We are here, we're listening to that. We are also in information sharing or in information receiving and overload. Maybe some of you are feeling that. I know I am as well. We're also trying to figure out what the economic relief is going to be, because we're all being very, very affected by this. This is coming, but we're not there yet. And then finally, we will be in the recovery stage. And this is, realistically speaking, months away. and we don't know how many months at this time. So these meetings, which we'll be doing weekly, are a chance for us all to connect in real time and learn from each other. So with that, Garrett, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about what our current reality is today, Monday, March 30th.
Thanks, Bettina. Just as a quick recap for those of you that have been moving away from the news as a way to maintain your sanity, what we heard yesterday was an adjustment to the federal guidelines with regard to shelter in place, moving beyond mid-April to the end of April as a federal guideline for recommending shelter in place. We know that the crest of the disease has not occurred regionally or for that matter throughout our nation. We anticipate that crest may occur sometime over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And so whereas we are adjusting to the guidelines about an April 30th shelter in place time horizon, some of our planning assumptions are building into there the ability to continue to focus on providing you the support that you need should that date move beyond April 30th. And so that's basically the primary planning assumption that we have that is driving the work that Bettina and her team are doing. So Bettina, I think that's it for the national and local update. I don't think any more information is necessary for us to move forward at this point.
Right. It is just worth noting that there are currently 71 cases confirmed in SLO County, if you maybe took a little news fast yesterday for some Sunday rest time, which is important. At this point, we are going to call on our board president, Pat Arnold, just to give us a little bit of an update from what the board perspective is for our organization.
Welcome aboard, new board members. Your term starts tomorrow. I know you were not expecting such a unusual term, but this is what we're in, and we'll make the best of it. We have a lot to do, and I really do appreciate everybody that signed up and is here to help. We have a lot to do. So with that, I want to let you know that we've all been affected. Obviously, our organization relies heavily on events. We have farmers market, we have concerts, we obviously have events that are farther out in the year, and we'll just cross that bridge when we get there. But as of right now, our near-term future is pretty grim when it comes to revenue. So please know, for the local businesses that are on, we're in the same boat, and we are adapting, and we are doing everything we can. That leads into committees. Normally this time of year, we'd be tackling committees, who does what, where we're going to go, and planning for what used to be exciting events. Right now we're shifting. Whitney's working hard on the virtual farmers market, and I'm sure she'll probably fill in more on that. One of our staff members, Misha's, working very hard on special events. This was the ramp up as we look to hire and grow and do all sorts of stuff, and instead we are in essentially a holding pattern. So thank you to the staff for adapting to something we never expected even 2 months ago, let alone 12 months ago. We'll continue to update you on the committees, on how you as board members can help. And again, we'll talk to the downtown and town as a whole. But we're in it with you. We're doing everything we can. For those of you who know me, I'm both a renter and a landlord. We're a small business owner and a contractor / developer. So we've been hit on all fronts. We do actually have constructions functioning, but a lot of the retail side, as we know, is completely closed. So I appreciate your patience. Like I said in the last call, please call or reach out. You can get me via email or cell, and Rachel can post that later. But I am here to help. We will get through this. So thank you very much. Oh, sorry, one last thing. Can I speak a little more, Bettina? One thing that I brought up last meeting, and I want to bring up again, this is very important. We as the board have put our trust in our professional staff. This is very important. As you know, this is changing constantly, every day. Even if you stay off the news keeps flying. So we put a broad trust into the staff. I work with them regularly. The executive committee works with them regularly. Bettina and I talk almost daily, but please know that our staff has our support, and we'll be functioning I won't say independently of the board, but far faster than we can function as a board. So if you have any issues, please reach out to me. But in the meantime, we're going to get out of the way and let Bettina and Rachel and the crew do what we need to do to get through this. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate that very much. And I appreciate your patience too, as I am running a slide deck from my Zoom for the first time. So thank you for your grace. And speaking of construction, if you hear banging, I'm actually at home, and there is a construction site next door to me too. So hopefully that's not too distracting, but this is our new normal. So I wanted to let you know a little bit about how Downtown SLO as an organization is working with not just our local leaders and our chambers and our city and our county, but also on what this means for downtowns all over our country. We are a member of the International Downtown Association, the California Downtown Association, Main Street America, and the California Main Street Alliance. And our staff has attended conferences at all of these. We have had really strong relationships, and in the past week, I have sat in on webinars and meetings for all. And what that means is that it's been really interesting to see what other downtown organizations are doing, both those that are ahead of us in terms of the virus outbreak and the numbers of COVID-19 infections, but also look behind us to some of the communities that have not been as affected right now. So we're able to see what we could do maybe better going forward from those who are ahead, and also model behavior for those who are behind us to catch up to where we are. So as you know, our staff has really pivoted in terms of we're all working on outreach and communications right now. And that means we're all reaching out to you, but we're also digesting the information, and we're trying to decode it so that you can understand it. And by now, you've probably heard of the CARES Act. This was the $2 trillion stimulus package that was passed last week. I found this graphic on NPR, and I thought it would be helpful to share with you all. What mostly affects you here in this meeting are the individuals and the small business. So you can see that the individuals, looks like it's going to be about $560 billion. And for small businesses, there's $377 billion. There's also funding for state and local governments, which will affect and impact our ability to do business and continue to operate in this new world. As for small businesses, again, this is sourced from NPR. The main features that we are going to be getting through the Federal CARES Act, and I've got Judy Mahan on the call. She'll be giving an update from the Small Business Development Center later. But there are three things that you really need to know about. The first is emergency grants through the EIDL program. The second is the forgivable loans, and this is really critical to think about. If you are able to keep your workers on your payroll, the SBA will provide loans of up to $10 million per business. And that's if you can keep people on payroll, if you can keep paying your rent, if you can keep paying your debts, they may be forgiven. So this is provided that you keep your business operating through the end of June. And then finally, there's relief for existing loans. So there's money there to cover 6 months of payments if you are already accessing and using SBA loans. Finally, the individuals, which we all are, there are your workers, your neighbors, your family, and you. This does include one-time stimulus payments of $1,200 per person for those people who are learning less than $75,000, and then $500 per child. Now, it's still unclear how this is going to be distributed. It may be distributed electronically if you have your bank account linked with the federal tax payment system. It might also be in the form of a check, and that probably has changed in the last 5 minutes since I was talking about it. So keep up with that information, and we're trying to keep up with it as well. So at this point, I'm going to invite some of our stakeholder agencies to chime in and talk a little bit about how they're working on this. And let's start off with Judy Mahan from the Small Business Development Center. Judy, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Hi, Bettina.
Hi, Judy.
So thank you for inviting me this morning. Just a quick update. So we've put in place a task force at the SBDC to help all businesses navigate the different loan programs that have come out in the last couple of weeks. There was the emergency injury disaster loan that came out about 2 weeks ago now. And as of last Friday, under the CARES Act, there's a payroll protection, let me see the exact wording, the PPP, we're calling it the PPP loan. It's an SBA 7A loan, Paycheck Protection Program loan, so the PPP loan. So we have a task force that can handle these loan applications. We suggest that all businesses that are seeking financial assistance sign up with us through the calpoly.sbdc.com website. I also have a very direct link to the application that I can share with all of you. I think I shared it in an email this morning with you, Bettina. Feel free to share it with your network. And then links to the 2 loan programs that are currently available. This emergency disaster loan program, the EIDL program, and the PPP program. So very, very big picture. The Paycheck Protection Program loan is available to cover payroll and to cover interest on any mortgage payments that your business might have. Only the interest, not the principal, as well as rent, business rent. It won't cover other accounts payable. The emergency disaster loan, the EIDL loan, will cover accounts payable. So that's kind of the current distinction right now. I'm going to dive in and understand more as we're going through the application processes for the PPP that just came out on Friday. Under PPP, businesses can take out loans up to $10 million per business. It's a 4% interest loan. There is a 6-month deferment to make your first payment back on that loan. It may be pushed out to 12 months, but right now we know for sure 6 months, maybe up to 6 months, the first payment deferral, the reimbursement that's owed on that loan. Under EIDL, EIDL covers all accounts payable, let's see, including payroll as well. So we're trying to figure out what the best strategy is going to be for businesses, whether they should be applying for both loans or one over the other. EIDL is deferred for 12 months. No payments are due for 12 months. EIDL, we submit our application directly to the SBA. So we walk clients, businesses through the process to submit directly to SBA. For the PPP program, we'll be working through our community banks. So by the end of the day, I will have a very specific list of all our lenders, our local lenders that have the expertise to help process these with the SBA. They have to be SBA lenders. And so we'll be assigning the business to the right lender to then work directly with the SBA. So EIDL, 12 months deferral, the interest rate on that loan is 3.75%. And it can be extended over a 30-year term. The term on the PPP loan is shorter. I think it's 7 years, I'm not sure, but it's definitely a lot shorter than the EIDL loan. The advantage of PPP is there is, for employers that are able to maintain their entire workforce and not do any layoffs or furloughs over the next 6-month period, or there's a certain time period, we'll be able to benefit from some tax credits and some loan forgiveness. Again, I need to better understand the dynamics of how that's going to work, but there is some loan forgiveness component to that loan if you maintain your workforce in place. So that's another part of the strategy that businesses are going to have to think through with our consultants is, does it make sense to keep your workforce in place? The EDD has been, the benefits under EDD for employees have been expanded tremendously. And so there's a lot of opportunity there to get, to make sure that your employees, if they do get laid off, that there is unemployment insurance in place for them. There's been lots of extensions made on paid sick leave, on family care leave, We are going to get trained on that Wednesday morning. So I would love to be able to share with everyone the updates on that. But I think there is an emotional fear about layoffs, both from the employer side and the employee side. And sometimes from a business strategy standpoint, from an economic standpoint, it makes sense for both parties to go through that layoff process to make sure that the employees are taken care of and are able to get access to unemployment benefits, and in some cases might put them in a better place. For some employers, it makes sense to take advantage of the furlough opportunity. The EDD has expanded benefits to cover the furloughed amount of hours to maintain the employee whole on their wages. So there are lots of things in place, lots of opportunity. There's lots of opportunity to tap into to help everyone. It's just a matter of figuring out what's the right strategy and how to complete these packages to make sure the businesses can apply to the right loan. So that's the big picture. Is there anything you'd like me to add at this point?
That's so helpful, Judy. Thank you very much. I'm curious if you could share some of the information about how many applications you've had, how well resourced your team is, and what the volume of calls and what kind of response time people might expect. Yeah,
good question. So about 10 days ago, we were seeing half a dozen applicants a day. It ramped up. As of Friday, we were at 25, 30 a day. So if you keep in mind that, we're spending a couple hours with each person, that's 60 hours right there in one day just to process the applications. So like I said, we put in place a task force to manage those loans. There's 8 of us on call. We're pretty much working around the clock, including over the weekend, and that's totally fine. That's what we're here for. We're putting in place 4 other task forces as we speak. We're tapping into our bank SBA lenders to create a task force for the SBA lending piece under PPP. We are creating a accounting task force. So we've talked to our local accounting firms, Caliber Accounting, Glenn Burdett, all the champions that we know, to get them on board. And I'll explain why we're setting up these task forces. The third one is for HR. That's absolutely key. We need to make sure we have all of our HR experts on board available to assist our businesses. And the fourth one is we're trying to pull together a task force to help retailers transition online, those that are not online. We have to get them online ASAP, even if it's just creating a landing page, helping them maybe through Amazon. There's an opportunity also to create a landing page on Amazon, so that Amazon takes care of all your back-end needs, but at least you have a presence there. So we're creating a task force to manage that as well. And the idea is clients will apply to us. We will triage to figure out what their needs are, and depending on their needs, any overflow that we can't manage, we have these task forces in place that can jump in and assist. Some clients might need help. They will need to submit tax returns. You do not need to have 2019. We're getting a lot of questions about the 2019 tax returns. The SBA is not looking at 2019, just 2018 and prior. Some businesses, that's still a hurdle for them. So we have our CPAs that will be able to jump in and help out. Again, on the more strategic side, for employers that are trying to debate what type of workforce reduction pathway they need to follow, our HR team will be able to help out. So these teams are coming together today, and tomorrow afternoon, we're trying to make sure we have the right streamlined processes in place so there's no overlap, no miscommunication, so we all know what everyone's roles and responsibilities are going to be. And the minute we assign a client or a business to someone, the person that it's assigned to knows exactly what to do. So that's where we're at.
Thank you, Judy. It's so helpful. And just a reminder to everybody on the call that our SBDC is housed in the CIE on the second floor above Ross. So you are our neighbor, you are part of our downtown, and thank you for all your work on this. It's great to see you rise up to the challenge, and we'll keep connecting everybody. And Stephanie Stackhouse says, thanks for all you're doing, Judy. So we are all appreciative.
Thank you so much. And this is our job. Like we're here, we are funded by the SBA. And so absolutely that this is what we need to be doing right now. Thank you.
It's great. It's great. Next up, we have another stakeholder, Molly Kano from the city of San Luis Obispo. Molly, are you on the line?
I am. Can you hear me, Bettina?
Yes. Hello.
Hi, good morning. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us be a part of this call. I think, Judy, touching on what you just shared, I think really, from a city perspective, really taking a look at, with all the gray clouds that we are fighting through as we're going through this pandemic right now, I think hearing about the business support and the way people in our community are working together, it really is that point of light for us to continue to keep our eye on. So, Judy, thank you for all of that incredible information. I wanted to share with you guys a little bit about what the city is working on right now. Obviously, there are lots of various components as we're continuing to navigate the situation that we have at hand. And so today I'm just going to focus a little bit more on our business resources. I'll talk with you a little bit about kind of tourism impacts and what we're seeing from that perspective, so you understand kind of what's going on in that world. And then share with you a little bit more about how to find some additional information and keep up to speed on what's going on within the city. So from a business perspective, again, one of the things that we're working on right now is taking a look at how we can connect the dots and understand kind of what's happening on the various levels as these components roll out, and making sure that we can kind of facilitate and connect the dots for what our businesses need to know, whether that be understanding as things continue to evolve and change with the shelter at home requirements and essential businesses and non-essential businesses. On the city's website, Shelley mentioned this last week, but I just want to bring it up again, that on the city's website, slowcity.org/COVID-19, you can go into that page, and if you have questions about if your business can operate in one function or another, please send us through the form on that link through that website. Send us what your request is. The way that it's working for us is that we are taking that information in, we're reviewing it internally, we're helping navigate that and get it directly to, thank you, Bettina, directly to the county, so that we're helping facilitate and work through that as quickly as possible. So this is the form that I was just referencing. So if you have any questions about an idea that your business has about how it would like to operate under these new guidelines, this is a great way to be able to share that with us, ask the questions, and get a response from our team as quickly as possible on that. So please use that resource. In addition, you'll see on the left-hand side of the screen the slow takeout /delivery map. In working with Bettina and the team at Downtown SLO, one of the things that we were able to roll out last week was a map that essentially showed the various eateries in San Luis Obispo across the entire community, and what is available and what they're offering. So as you can see, to date, we launched this last Thursday, and we have 113 eateries that have already entered in their information. So we were able to work with Downtown SLO to first kind of pre-populate the information that had been provided through the virtual downtown. It was a fantastic way, again, to pool resources and not duplicate efforts, and also be able to help some of our downtown eateries be able to get some information up quickly, but again, if things change within your businesses or different offerings become available, or change what you're doing, you can always reach out to us and we can quickly update that form in order to make sure that it's populating with the most up-to-date information. And so in addition, one of the things, of course, focusing on with this pre-population of the downtown businesses and downtown eateries, but also making sure that we can have a resource for the restaurants and whatnot that are elsewhere within the city of San Luis Obispo. So you see all of those on there. And I have to say it was an incredible response. Within the first few minutes of rolling this out, probably within the first half hour, our number had already doubled. And so it was good to see that this type of resource is something that, that is useful and another way to look at information and help get information out to our businesses and to our residents about how they can support our businesses. Moving on to some of the tourism impacts, I wanted to take you all just kind of through some high-level impacts that we're seeing there. 2 weeks ago, so right when the crisis hit locally, one of the things that our Tourism Business Improvement District, our TBID, it's the collective of the 40 hotel properties that we have here within the city of San Luis Obispo. Our TBID board at that point in time, following the same strategy that many of our other counterparts throughout the state and really throughout the nation, we put a pause on all marketing efforts that we had going on. So all of our advertising efforts had been paused. That was twofold, and because protecting health and well-being of our community comes first and foremost, and two, trying to understand what this crisis was going to look like for us. So currently at this point in time, you would see that that all exterior facing or kind of outward, out market facing for tourism promotions have been paused. What we've been able to do is bring it in and take a new strategy and a new approach to focusing on what San Luis Obispo is all about. So through our Share Slow channel, which many of you may be familiar with on Facebook and Instagram, and through our blog as well, we've really been focusing on telling the stories about San Luis Obispo helping San Luis Obispo, and kind of what we're seeing here within our community and the goodwill and the business support that's going on. So we roll out information, blog posts and whatnot once a week to tell those stories. And so if any of your businesses have some good stories to tell, feel free to send those over to me, mkano@slowcity.org, and I can get your stories into the right hands of the right people. So we've been working on that. We obviously know that the impacts on having visitors here in our community has dramatically decreased. So we're seeing about right around kind of single-digit occupancy for the majority of our hotels. One of the big questions has been, so, you're seeing still people in hotels, who are those people? And so I think it's important to understand that these are not leisure travelers that are still on vacation, if you will. The occupancy that our hotels have reported that they're seeing in-house are guests that are staying for essential services, things like telecommunications, things like energy as it may be connected to, PG&E and Diablo Canyon and whatnot. And then also, health and safety folks, so traveling nurses, things like that. And then construction is still an essential service. And so you see still in-house at some of our hotels, some of the construction crews that are here as well. So that's just kind of giving you guys a little bit of an understanding of what's going on. And obviously with the shelter at home guidelines, that also is then is also impacted to our guests that are staying in lodging properties as well. We have seen a handful of properties temporarily close. And so they're not offering rooms at this point in time. However, they have made themselves available should we need to pull those rooms in for any emergency use. So we've been saying that. And really, you know, from a city standpoint, we are here to support you. We are navigating through this with all of you as well. We're trying to understand also the major financial impacts that this will make on our community overall, and understanding what that looks like. We are along that road with you also. Shelley spoke last week about putting together our economic response and recovery team. And so that team has been formed, and we are working through what our plans look like for the city across many, many various levels. And so we will continue to make that information and resources available. Bettina, if you want to go back to the city's website real quick, I can show you guys. We've just launched last week. At the end of last week, there's a new e-notification. So if you go to the e-notification page, either through the homepage or back from our COVID-19, either spot. And there's a new group that you can sign up for e-notifications with. So this would be specifically for the economic recovery. It's under the news section, if you keep scrolling down. And then you'll see right there, economic recovery and response. And so you can go ahead and sign up for that if you're interested in having information and staying in the loop of the e-notifications that we're sending out specific to that group. So you can go ahead and sign up there. In addition, we on a weekly basis are rolling out our community update. So this is another great way to stay informed, obviously going to the COVID-19 page on our website, also following along on social media, but being able to access the latest community update. We send that out to our e-notification group, and it's a great way to just kind of see a roll-up of all of the information, things that are happening within San Luis Obispo, kind of in a week's point in time.
Great. That was great. Thank you so much, Molly. And it's important to note, I think, that payment for metered parking spaces is not required downtown. So that is good news for those of you who are trying to access your businesses. You do need to be mindful of posted time limits, and overnight parking is not permitted, but the meters are not collecting payments at that time. And we do also have the 40+ meters that are reserved for restaurant takeout orders. Thanks so much to the city's Department of Parking Services for helping us put that together. I want to call on another person on the call real quick about another project the city's been working on. Matt Quaglino, are you on the line? See, this is where we need to exercise grace because I don't know what I'm doing here. Garret,
hello.
Can you? Hi, is that you, Matt?
It is. How are you this morning?
Nice to hear your voice. How are you hanging in?
I'm just doing lovely, getting a lot of yard work done. So good morning. I can fill you in on what I was working on with the city. So I contacted Shelley Stanwyck, I believe it was last week, and asked if we could somehow help and get the message out to the folks in town. And maybe by doing some sort of a campaign with signage or some posters or billboards around town, and I offered to help facilitate that. So that progressed along, worked with Greg Herman. The city came up with 4 different messages. They're 4x8 signs or an orange background. I sent a copy to Pat, so he could probably share those with you, or I can email them later. And basically it's got the city's, the slowcity.org COVID website address and the hashtag with the city's logo. There you go. And I worked with the sign place, and they gave us a greatly reduced price on them. They're $75 a piece. I've ordered 10 of them, and we plan, hopefully we'll have them tomorrow, and we're going to be putting up as many as we can around town. And then if anyone wants to participate and order their own signs to put up, the city's going to have that on their website. I'm sure it was somewhere in that website you were just looking at. To get these out, get them up and around town. So that's what we're working on. And if there's anybody who has a place to stick a sign, let me know, because we'll have extra as well.
That's so wonderful. Thank you, Matt. Thanks for taking that on. And
You're welcome.
Matt's a property owner downtown, a longtime downtown supporter, and you can always see him at concerts in the plaza having a good time. So
hopefully soon.
Yes, today we have ideas. Thank you, Matt, for that. Really appreciate it. Next up on our stakeholders list, I'm going to invite Molly Kern from the Chamber of Commerce. Molly, are you out there?
I am, yes.
Hi, Molly.
All right, thank you so much for pulling all of this together and for everything you guys are doing at Downtown SLO. We know that you, Bettina, and your whole team and board are working really hard, and we've so valued having you as partners, especially in this time. Going to give just a quick update of a couple of things that the Chamber is working on. Quick overview, we've been reaching out to every single one of our members, so that's about 1,400 businesses throughout the region, just to check in, see how everyone's doing, and we're getting a wide variety of responses, as you can imagine, getting some really amazing stories of what businesses are doing, you know, locally producing COVID-19 tests, pivoting to be able to help with the personal protective equipment that's needed, but also when we're talking to all of our hospitality and retail members in particular, they're facing some really tough times. And so it was great to hear through Judy's sort of update a lot of the things, especially on helping some retailers get online and things like that, that's going to be really helpful. We're focusing on helping to direct our members and the business community at large to the most sort of credible and helpful resources. There's so much information out there right now that we're hearing from everyone. It's just sort of like, I just need to know, you know, the bullet point version of this, how it affects me, and who can help me. And so been really pointing people to the SBDC quite frequently, but also just getting on the phone, getting on a Zoom call and talking someone through something. Quite often we've found that it's more of the wanting someone to be sitting next to you and not feeling alone as they're going through this that's most helpful. And so we've created a couple of resources through our social channels, particularly Facebook, to try and facilitate some of that connection. We see our role particularly through events we do like Mixers and Good Morning SLO as a sort of convener, and I've been trying to take that digitally. We have a Facebook group, Connect SLO, and also just trying to, along with the city, Downtown SLO, and a number of our other partners, celebrate the good things that are going on, draw attention to ways that businesses are creatively adapting to this. And we're also working really closely with our network of chamber, there you go, there's a Facebook group. Working really closely with our network of chambers, both locally in the region, but also through the Western Association of Chamber Executives and nationally, because there's a lot of things that are going on. This is really a time where we can leverage our collective voice, and want to give a big shout out in particular to Jocelyn Brennan at the South County Chambers and Glenn Morris in Santa Maria, who together with RCO Jim D'Antona have been in, feels like minute by minute contact, working to make sure that we're providing all of our members sort of similar information, that we're coordinating what we're doing to make it as streamlined as possible, because that information overload is real. We're also working with a number of our members to make videos. You can see one that we did with Judy Mahan was sort of first off the blocks with us, to just sort of be that face, say, hey, we're here, here's what we know right now. This week we're putting one out with Kathy Eppright and Tim Dosa, doing sort of like a employment law and accounting Q&A for what's going on in the CARES Act and a couple of other things that are coming down. Looking to do others as things go along, with everything from, you know, working from home, figure out your personal technology and how to make that work for you, as we know we're settling in for the sort of medium length haul on all of this, but continuing to focus a lot on HR, accounting, law, as those are the questions that we're getting most frequently, and want to be able to give some sort of face time so that people, again, don't feel like they're just sort of out there in the middle of the universe by themselves, because we know that San Luis is a great community when it comes together, and we want to make sure that we don't lose that in this time. So happy to take any questions anyone has, but those are sort of our main initiatives over this next week.
It looks like there is a question. Is there an information site to promote retailers who have an online presence on the chamber website?
So I can say we're working at something that you may have seen. I know that we worked with Downtown SLO, the city, and some other chambers to promote Takeout Tuesday as really sort of like a day of the week that we can come together and help promote and support our sort of restaurant and hospitality businesses. And we're working on something similar to help promote sort of, again, day of the week style thing for retailers. Particularly those with an online presence, but sort of as Judy was mentioning, we do know that a number of our members and a number of the retailers that all of us go to frequently don't have that online presence quite optimized yet, and so looking to launch that next week.
Great, that's really helpful. Thank you so much, Molly, appreciate it. And as for retail presence on the Downtown SLO website, we do have our virtual downtown. And that has had some really great success. We launched this 7 days ago, or this is actually figures from Friday. So we had 2,230 visits to our virtual downtown in just 7 days. And you can see that it's broken down into different categories. So services, interior design, wellness, apparel, et cetera. So that's one resource that we've had success pushing out, and we're continuing to work on that. Next up, our final stakeholder update. We have Courtney Aquino, who's our Cal Poly designee for our board of directors. Courtney, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Courtney.
Hi. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Bettina. We really appreciate your leadership and the leadership of your team during this really difficult time. I can say I account for a number of those virtual check-ins. I've been trying to take advantage of that. It's been so helpful. And the city's website too, listing businesses, restaurants that are open has been really great. So thank you all for all that you're doing. We understand at Cal Poly the significant impacts that decisions made at Cal Poly have, particularly on our downtown businesses on a number of fronts. So we appreciate being able to speak with you all. And I saw that Mark Borges and our Cal Poly's ASI president and Bob Linscheid, senior advisor on economic development, are also on the call this morning, which is really great. We have been working really closely with Cuesta, K-12 schools, the state, county public health, and administration in the city as we've made all of these big decisions about students and where we're going. As many of you probably saw, spring quarter will be held entirely virtually. We have 98% of our courses that we're able to transition to online. As part of that, to give faculty time to prepare, we extended spring break by a week. So instead of starting back classes today, classes are going to begin a week from today. We have asked all students to transition to their permanent residences and to stay there, to not travel back and forth. We are emphasizing with them social distancing and sheltering in place. You may have heard that the rec center at Cal Poly has been identified as the alternative care facility for the county, which means that should our hospitals fill up, we're gonna have a site on campus to take those additional patients. Tenant improvements for that site are beginning as we speak this morning. And then finally, we have a website as well, coronavirus.calpoly.edu, that we've stood up with all of this information and so much more. Should you have any particular questions about what's happening at Cal Poly and how we're handling all of this. And then also I wanted to leave you all with my email address if you don't already have it, which is Kino, oh, there it is. Kino, Kienow is the spelling of my last name, at calpoly.edu. And if you have a particular question that you don't find the answer on there, or any questions really, please feel free to reach out. And I bet Mark and Bob would echo that same comment, that we want to be a resource for you all in as many ways as we can. And again, so appreciate all the work that's being done by everyone who's spoken, particularly the downtown SLO. So thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Really appreciate all your work, and it is definitely going to be difficult to navigate, and it's hard to even imagine a downtown without Cal Poly students shopping and eating and wandering about. I know that there are a lot of things that are still in flux, but have you all given any thought to what that might look like in terms of the economic impact, like the economic impact of graduation not happening, some of those larger events, Parents Weekend, Alumni Weekend?
Yeah, so Bob and I and a couple other members of our leadership team have been starting that conversation. We have been very much in crisis mode, trying to deal with all of these big transitions that have been in place and that are ongoing. But that's definitely a part of the conversation to see, to do that kind of analysis and to see where we can be a part of the effort and communication happening around how do we begin to look at this rebuilding process.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bettina, this is Bob Lynch.
Hi, Bob.
Could I weigh in a little bit on that?
Absolutely.
First of all, I want to acknowledge, as Cal Poly converts the rec center, I just want to acknowledge one of your own, Eric Justison, Bill Toma, Ty Sofrino, for the incredible work that they've done. Courtney laid down the strategy of turning over that space very well, but it couldn't happen without people like those folks that have chipped in. There is a study, Bettina, I'd be happy to send to you relative to the economic impact of student spending, which isn't totally relevant as far as the COVID situation, but it doesn't give you some numbers as it relates to economic spend and the economic impact. So I'd be happy to share that with you. It might add some information that you might find valuable. The other thing I was going to ask is, Molly from the city mentioned that the formation of the economic recovery program, and I'm wondering if there's discussions going on between the city and the county on that same topic, because we've been working with Chuck Davison, Kevin Buman at the airport to look at when the possible that there will be a reduction in flights. We just want to try to maintain at least one flight per destination so we don't lose it forever. And Kevin has been real interested in trying to see something form. So I just thought I'd ask the question of, has there been conversations between the city and the county on collaborating on a recovery strategy?
Molly Kino, are you on the line still?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yes, thank you for asking that question. In terms of the conversations from the tourism perspective, in terms of economic recovery, those conversations are definitely going on. In fact, I have a weekly call with Chuck and his team from Visit SLO every Friday. So that's happening, and we're continuing to work together to figure out how we can navigate the current crisis, but also prepare for the recovery. On the greater city front, we have just formed our team, if you will, and one of the things that we're doing this week is establishing, kind of what the various roles and responsibilities are and how we can pull in and have the conversations with other partners. So 100% yes, that is the direction that we're going in. None of us are on an island alone with this. It's all about working together and being able to strategize and move towards the recovery in a unified way. And so that is 100% to the direction that we are moving in.
Great. Please add me to your list. I'll follow up with an email to you. I just want to make sure
Most
that
definitely.
you have feedback from our end of it. And Courtney and I are double teaming a lot of these a lot of these engagements.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Molly. We are coming up at about 10:55 and we still have some other things to get through. So we will keep this conversation going, but I'm going to go ahead and move forward in our agenda. Thanks to all of our strategic partners in this economic development recovery plan. This is unfolding in real time, so we'll keep the conversation going. Wanted to just call out a couple of wonderful things that our downtown businesses have done being creative and resilient. Up here we have some of our restaurants have pivoted to become grocery stores. We've got Mama's Meatball, and we've got Novo. They went and did a great shop at the Saturday morning farmers market, and now you can buy fresh produce downtown. So for those of you who have been banging the drum about trying to get a grocery store downtown for many years, well, it just took a global pandemic to make that happen. But it is really amazing to see the resilience and creativity come through. We also have right here, this is an energy restoration bag from Hans Gallery. We have some take-home cocktail kits from Sidecar. Big Skies put a big sign in their window that says, we'll do curbside delivery. Junk Girls has done an Instagram Live at 5 video. If your business has done another creative pivot, please let us know. We'll showcase that in our social media, and we're really getting a great response from that. We also have our online virtual farmers market. Again, we're going to be pausing the farmers market through the end of April at the very minimum, but we are encouraging people to shop the other farmers markets to get their fresh produce, and we're looking at a contingency plan. We hope that all of you on the call have joined our private Downtown SLO businesses page. This is really, we started this before the coronavirus situation began, but it's been a great place for us to connect. And while the Chamber has the Connect SLO, which is fantastic, this is actually a private group just for Downtown SLO businesses. So we're hoping that this is a place where you can be candid, be open, and stay connected in real time. We are continuing to use our social media channels. We've got more than 6,000 followers on our Instagram page. That's growing all the time. And we're pushing out your stories. So make sure you're pinging us and tagging us in hashtag Downtown SLO and hashtag We Are Downtown SLO. And the biggest reminder is just that we are here for you. So please reach out to our team. We're working remotely and we can't see you in real life, but we're happy to set up FaceTime calls, Zoom calls, and get together with you. We started a series called We Are Downtown SLO, and we've got 2 highlighted business owners. Sarah Vaskov from Hans Gallery did this wonderful blog post about why retail might not be considered an essential service, but it's absolutely an essential service to connect people through appreciation of beautiful objects and bringing people together. And of course, Erin Gomez is our city council representative and a downtown business owner. So we're happy to have that. Now, we are Downtown SLO. This is a big sign that we have hanging in our window. And we want to take the next few minutes, if you can stay on the call, to launch a few polls so that we can understand what's on your mind. If you were on the call last week, you'll remember that we did this, and go ahead and respond. We're going to capture this information, and we will keep pushing out these polls. We'll push them out in our Facebook group. We'll push them out in these weekly polls because we want to see again where you are right now, with the understanding that there are 3 days. There's yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So today, how are you feeling? Take a few minutes to answer these questions. I can see that you are viewing the questions. Hopefully they are now, some of you are answering. I can see the answers coming in real time. And then after we're done with these polls, we're also going to take some Q&A from the rest of the group. So you can answer quietly by taking these polls, or you can ask questions by raising your hand in the Zoom meeting function. It's great, about half of you have voted. If you happen to minimize the Zoom screen because you're doing other things, which totally understand, if you could jump back in and take these poll questions. We've gotten about half of you voting right now, and we'd like to finish the poll so we can push this out to see you.
You'll probably see that the polling questions are very similar to the polling questions that were asked last week. Downtown SLO wants to make sure that as your perspectives and needs move, that we're tracking those trends to stay ahead of where your needs are going. So we appreciate your participation. We'll give this about one more minute for people to participate before closing the poll. About 15 more seconds and we'll close the poll out, and then we'll move towards Q&A. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the poll. Thank you for your participation. Now, if you have any questions, you can use the raised hand feature and we'll call on you individually.
Do we have any raised hands?
Looks like there are no raised hands. So if you have any feedback for information that can be included in next week's Zoom conference call, please let us know. We want to make sure that this time is being spent well for you. And this is an opportunity for you to share with us what your needs are right now and allow the Downtown Association, Downtown SLO, to position themselves to help meet your needs. Bettina, throw it back to you.
Thank you so much, Garrett, and thank you for being here today. And thank you for tolerating my funny Zoom background of Mission Plaza. I'm sorry that I am not there right now. I just want to remind everybody that our downtown is a living and breathing organism. And it's really strange and hard to see it quiet and sleeping right now. But right now, downtown is hibernating. So for a group of people like you who work so hard day in, day out, especially on the weekends, I know a lot of you were expressing a lot of anxiety on Saturday and Sunday, not being able to be in your shops and interact with people over the weekend. This is challenging. It's your livelihood. It's the business that you love. It's the people that you see every day. It's your community. And sometimes when it's uncertainty that is all you can see, resting seems challenging, and resting doesn't seem like the right thing to do. But when we are in hibernation, it's important to realize that hibernation is a place for us to recharge. So one of our board members, Stephanie Snackhouse, has pushed out through our Facebook page a daily meditation. And I just want to thank you, Steph, for putting that there. And it's really a great resource. If you can take some time to meditate, to go for a walk and rest, that will really help us all emerge from this kinder, stronger, warmer, and gentler and more creative. So I applaud all of your efforts. I see you, and we'll look forward to connecting with each other in this meeting again next week. Please reach out to me at Bettina, Bettina, @downtownslo.com, or any of us through all of the channels, you know how to do it. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, this is Rachel. I'm going to jump in here really quickly. Mary Alice did have a question, so I'm going to unmute you, Mary Alice, and you can jump in and go ahead.
Again, Bettina and everybody, thank you. I just, I've been in touch with Bettina over the last week a few times, and when this whole chaos started about 2 weeks ago, I started a petition on change.org for a rent and mortgage freeze. And there has been some things trickling down from the governor's office in regards to like the moratorium on eviction. And last evening, Bettina sent me another link with the current things that are happening. I know rent is due in like 2 days, and so is mortgage due in 2 days. And it's not only as a business owner, but as my employees, I'm very concerned about how are they going to pay the rent. And I have reached out to everybody and tried to say, have that conversation with your landlord and tenant. But also, I feel like there needs to be, what the governor is saying is they could do as much as they can on the state level. It's now has to be in the hands of the city council and at the local level to push what we can do, so we don't have this back debt occurring for businesses and homeowners and renters in our community, because this is quickly going to get, if this continues on for months, it's going to get out of control. It's going to get so in debt for everybody. But what I've been hearing, and my question is what I've been hearing is that it's technically a rent freeze and a mortgage freeze is deemed illegal. But they've been, I see it in other communities that the councilmen are still going forward with it. I don't understand why our city council can't push some type of measure to go forward with this when cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco and San Jose are trying. That's my question. Why aren't we trying?
So Mary Alice, I think that's a great question. And
sorry, I missed that.
Oh,
could you say it again?
My Siri's just chimed in there. This is a really complicated issue, and I know you and I have been talking about this a lot. I'm going to call on Molly Kano if you're still on the line. Could you talk a little bit about the responsibility of the city versus the county in this role? Now, we understand that there's an eviction moratorium, and that means that you cannot be evicted up until May 31st, right?
Right.
But what happens after May 31st? That's the question. So if you have a relationship with your landlord, you say, okay, I can't pay you in April and May because I don't have any revenue coming in. On June 1st, are they going to say, okay, you owe us 2 months back rent plus all the rent going forward? And I think that we don't know what that looks like yet because of that whole yesterday, today, tomorrow reality that we're living in.
Right.
Thank you, Bettina. This is Molly Kano. Just want to respond to this as well. Yes. So, Bettina, I think you laid it out very clearly. We know that the executive order has been issued that suspended the evictions, and that was done on March 18th. There was action that was taken on Friday by our governor's office, and I can tell you that our city attorney's office has been working on understanding what that is and kind of what our options are. at our the Emergency Service Council meeting on Friday. It was these additional orders and information was coming out of the governor's office in real time during that meeting. And it was something that was asked about, and we are trying to navigate it and understand what role we can have here in the city in order to be able to roll it out here in our community. So we don't have the answers for you yet. We understand the importance of it, and we are trying to navigate it in real time as well, so that we can move forward and be able to give that clarity and information to our community.
Okay.
I know that's not the clarity that you are seeking, but it is the clarity that we have at this time. So thank you for that important question. So are there any other questions out there? Okay, well, thank you again. We are coming up at 11:15, and that is longer than we expected to spend together. I hope this has been helpful. Again, reach out to us if you have other questions. We have been recording this session. We'll be sharing this to those who weren't able to participate. And I hope that you have a beautiful day.